I'll tell y'all one thing. It is such a blessing to be a blessing. Hey y'all, welcome to the vlog. Today I wanted to continue on with our Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month series by talking to you guys about 5 ways that you can bless someone who has gone through the loss of a child or an infant or a pregnancy. So it's just 5 small ways that you can be a blessing to them. Losing a child is a very hard transitional period, not only for those involved but for those who are around them, those who suffer alongside them. But there are some ways that you might be able to help out the people who are struggling by blessing them just in small ways that end up meaning a lot to them. I talked to hubby and we just kind of brainstormed a few ways that we might have felt better, or some things that people did do for us that really made us feel better, and some things that we would like for people to do for us that would have made us feel better. So I wanted to share 5 of those things with you. So the first thing that you can do for somebody who has lost a child or pregnancy is you can make them some food, or prepackaged meals to eat off of. After we lost our child, we didn't want to do anything. Cook, clean, like none of that. Just wanted to, lay around and be sad. It's kind of similar as to when somebody is grieving in general, when they've lost, anybody, grandmother, parent, even a close friend. Most of the time, after the wake, people come over to their house with these big old casserole dishes of freezer meals for them to eat off of for the next 3 months. Well, it's the exact same thing for somebody who has lost a child. When somebody loses a child or loses a pregnancy, it's pretty much the exact same thing as when somebody loses an aunt or an uncle or a very close family friend. It's a loss in general. So you want to try to comfort them as you would any other loss. And doing things like that shows them that their child's life mattered, even though it was so short. So, cook them some food. Preferably not the same thing. Like if you know that Sally down the street made them a chicken casserole, you can maybe bring them, I don't know, baked bean casserole, something. It's usually casserole, right? Dinner casserole, breakfast casserole, dessert casserole, whatever you make. Try to make them just some stuff that they either really enjoy eating, like if you know their favorite food, or something that they've really been talking about wanting, or whatever. Just get them some food. You could even help them around the house, because like I said, we didn't want to do anything. That's just how it is. So, being able to have that extra food and that extra help around the house, offer to pick up some groceries for them, whatever, that really does help. It may seem like something super small, but it is something that completely adds up in the end. Because sometimes we're so caught up in our grief that we may even forget to eat. So, having somebody around not only to bless you with food and with nourishment, and to make sure that you actually eat it, that is helpful in ways that you probably can't even understand. So that is one way that you can bless somebody who has lost a child or pregnancy. Another way that you can bless somebody who has lost a child or pregnancy is to commemorate their child in some way. Whether it be a necklace or a bracelet, just something to kind of help them to remember what they lost. But not in a way as to kind of dwell on it, but in a way as to say, I went through this and I lost my child, but I'm stronger. So like I saw this necklace one time. I can't remember what it said, but I saw it and I was like, oh, that is so cute. And it really meant a lot to me, and I kind of wanted to get it for myself. I might have to go back and look at it. But it said something along the lines of, even though I can't carry you in my arms, I carry you in my heart. But stuff like that is also really helpful in just being able to show not only that, you know, you're there for them, but that you care about what they went through, you care about their loss, and you care about their child. Because like I said, I saw that and I thought about getting it for myself because I was like, oh, that's cute. But if somebody else were to give it to me, I would be like, oh my gosh, like, first of all, you remember. You know, so I think that would really be like a nice thing to do for somebody. Now, this one and the other tips that I might give you, it might not work for everybody. You just kind of have to go about who it is that you're blessing and what it is that they've gone through and their own personality. Some people would actually be triggered by doing something like that. So, you know, sometimes it would be best to, you know, just kind of really consider who they are and what they're going through and if that would help them or if that would hurt them. You could even talk to, you know, somebody close to them who might know a little bit better. You know, do you think this is going to help them or do you think this is going to hurt them? If it's going to help them, I recommend doing it. So, you know, if you think that that would help them, finding something to help them commemorate their child, I think would be a really awesome way to not only honor their loss, but also to just help them with the grieving process. Another way that you could bless someone who is grieving, and this is another one of those, could be a trigger, could not be, so you want to consider who it is that you are dealing with and, you know, maybe even consult with some other people because this could be a trigger or it could end up being a, you know, major blessing to them, is by remembering dates. A lot of women that I have encountered in the, you know, infant loss and pregnancy loss community, a lot of those women, I have heard or seen them express how much it would mean to them if somebody just remembered their supposed due date and said something, or remembered their children's names if their children had names yet. And a lot of those women, they just wanted somebody to remember, because a lot of the time after you've lost a child, whether it be pregnancy loss or child loss, I know in my own personal experience, you know, people at first, they're just like, oh, you know, so sorry for your loss, and they grieve with you, but sometimes they don't grieve the entire time that you're grieving. Sometimes you're grieving longer than that, and it just seems like after, you know, a couple months, everybody just kind of forgets and it's just you, and you're wondering, is there something wrong with me? You know, why does nobody else remember? Why does nobody else care about my child? That's what it seems like. That's not how it is. Most of the time that is not how it is, but that's how it can seem like, especially to somebody who is lost in the grieving process, feeling emotional and just grieving the loss of a child. So sometimes by remembering dates like that, due dates, birth dates, or just special dates pertaining to that child's life, sometimes stuff like that can really, you know, make somebody feel a lot better. And even if not remembering the exact date of the due date or the child's birthday or any other of those dates, sometimes just remembering that October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month and giving a shout out and being like, hey, I'm not sure personally when you lost your child. I'm not sure when your child was due, but this is National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and I just wanted to, you know, tell you I'm here for you. I remember your loss. I love you. I love your child, and, you know, I'm here for you. And sometimes even something as small as that could make like a whole lot of a difference. But like I said, this is one of those could be trigger things. So sometimes something like that could actually, you know, trigger them. So like I said, with this one and all of the other tips that I give you, always be mindful of who it is that you're dealing with. The last thing that you want to do is trigger them. So think about who you're dealing with, think about their preferences. If you're not sure, ask somebody else close to them. Do you think this is going to be a trigger to them? Because that's the last thing that you need, especially somebody who's grieving, who's in their emotions. You know, just take a moment, consider who it is that you're dealing with, and then if you feel like this is something that's going to be helpful to them rather than hurtful, I definitely recommend doing it. Okay, so the next way that you could be a blessing to somebody who is going through the grieving process is, and this is kind of like the opposite of what I just said, so this is on the other end of the spectrum. If you know that this is going to be a trigger to them, or even just when it first happens, when they initially go through the loss, don't talk about it. This one was one that hubby contributed. There is a period after loss where you just don't need to talk about it for a lot of people. Some people can't handle having a conversation about it. Some people just can't handle somebody bringing it up, or you know, because it's going to be a trigger to them. So if they're at a place in their grieving process, don't talk about it. When initially happens, I normally would just advise not to talk about it at first. You know, you can do things silently, like I was saying, you know, bring them some food, be there for them, let them know that you are there for them. But after that, you know, just kind of wait for them to broach the subject of it. Wait for them to bring it up and just be like, you know, hey, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. And just kind of give them some time to come to grips with things on their own, because sometimes, like I said, you can end up actually triggering them, and it ends up hurting them more than it actually ends up helping them. So sometimes during the grieving process, and this may not even be right after it happens, this may be a few months down the line, and they're really struggling and they just need to not talk about when they lost their child. You know, and you can't really judge anybody for how long their grieving process is, because sometimes, you know, they're doing perfectly fine, but it's still a trigger to them even months later. So, you know, wait for them to broach the topic, or even if, you know, you just can't wait any longer, ask them first. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about this. Is this okay? Is this going to be a trigger for you? Is this, like, you know, can we talk about this? Perfectly fine. But, you know, the main point here, don't talk about it for a while. Okay, my next and last tip for being a blessing to somebody who is dealing with loss or going through the grieving process is actually for those of you who have been through something similar before, whether it be, you know, pregnancy loss, infant loss, or even child loss, older child loss. If you've been through something similar to what they went through, whatever it is, open up. Sometimes you opening up to them and them hearing your story can actually help them a lot. Because like I said, and I've said this before, when I first started going through my miscarriage, I thought it was just me. Like, I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt like it was just me. I felt embarrassed. I was just feeling all these things because, you know, people don't really talk about it that much. So I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm not thinking, this is gonna sound irrational, but a part of me in the back of my mind was like, I am the only 19-year-old who has ever like miscarried before. It's irrational and it's not true, but that's how I was feeling because nobody ever, you know, had talked to me about it. No, I hadn't really heard anything from anyone about it. But one thing that I was very grateful for was that, you know, after my loss, a lot of people did come to me and open up and let me know, you're not the only one who's been through this. I went through this. This is how I got through it. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna get through this. And that's what I needed to hear. I needed somebody to tell me, you are going to get through this. I needed somebody who had been through something like that before to tell me, you are going to get through this. You are strong enough to get through this. This is not the end of the world. And I needed that wake-up call. So that can definitely be a blessing to people, is to just open up and not, you know, be quiet about it or hold back. Now, if it's going to be too painful for you to open up, you know, you don't have to. You can just, you know, be that silent support, or even if you just don't go into detail, just let them know, I went through something like that before. I can't go into detail right now because it's too painful, but just know that you are not alone. Just know that I understand, and just know that you are going to get through this. Sometimes just knowing that you're not the only one can make all the difference. Again, just make sure whatever you decide to do, if it's from this list, always discern first. Always just kind of try to think it out and consider first, is this going to help them or is this going to hurt them? Always consider that first before anything, even something small. Is this going to help them or is this going to hurt them? Well, that's about all I've got for you right now. There are plenty of other ways to be a blessing to somebody, especially, you know, if you know them personally and you know, like, you already know what's going to make them feel better. There are plenty of other ways that you can be a blessing. I just wanted to give you all 5 just places to start at. 5 places to start at, or 5 general ideas that might spur some other ideas, like, oh, maybe I can do this for her, or if she really likes this, or he really likes that, maybe I can, you know, bless them like this. But I really hope that even if only one of these, I hope that even one of these was able to help you on today. I hope that it's able to help whoever it is that you're around that is suffering. And I truly hope that you're able to be that support to them, or they're able to be that support to you, and that we're just able to support each other, because that's the goal here of Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. It's not the goal isn't to, you know, make people sad, or, you know, make people feel bad or guilty, or you know, scare people off, but it's just to let people know, you know, love each other, support each other. That's what we were called to do. Love one another, love our neighbors, and you never know what your neighbor's going through. So always, not only today, not only even this month, but just all year round, all the time, love each other, support each other, and just be there for each other. So I really hope that these tips were able to help you all, and I really hope that y'all enjoyed this video. Please make sure that you share it with anybody else who may need some help helping others, or who may need some help themselves. Just share it with whoever. Like, share, and comment on this video. Make sure that you click that subscribe button, and make sure that you click the little bell. It's a little gray bell down below, so that you can receive notifications of whenever I post new videos, especially pertaining to this topic, because hubby and I are, Lord willing, planning on making a video of our testimony of how we got through, well, how we made it thus far, and how we made it through our miscarriage. So make sure that y'all click that subscribe button, make sure y'all click that bell. Once again, just always remember, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, even in the midst of your sadness, and even in the midst of your grief. And just remember, you can do this. You can get through this. This is not the end of the road for you, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all have an absolutely blessed and wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Well, Lord willing.